Find my happy place. Find my happy place.
Just can't do it. No.
Can't do it.
Totally indifferent. Totally indifferent.
So, hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there. I'm just going to say, we tried. We really did. You know, I always try to find the positive, and while this NXT was not inherently bad, I will say they overloaded the show with a lot of things that were not related to Battleground. There were some good things, though, and I am going to point it out. That should be a fun one for
but
sure.
I don't think that this episode really got us anywhere.
Right.
I mean, honestly and truly, we could have not had this episode and gone into the pay-per-view and been perfectly informed.
We could. So crazy.
So anyway,
we're going to try to get through this because this is a lot. I am one of your DDT hosts, Mikey, also known as El Jefe around the BC WrestlePod. I am the man with half the plan and the face that somewhat runs the place. And joining me as always is Papa Oso himself, Will. This is the semi-final review for NXT, as we mentioned 2 weeks ago. After Battleground, we will be moving on to CMLL for the rest of, until we get bored. But we are putting NXT to rest. It has been a great run. And I wish I could say that this was a great NXT. There were some parts that I liked, but overall, again, this was not a horrible episode because I've seen worse in other promotions. I was just very bored, and I feel that that's worse than just a bad episode. I was bored, and you shouldn't make me bored before a pay-per-view.
Nope.
So let's just get into this. We start with a cold open before we get the credits, before we get the recap of everything that happened last week. Ava and all ego Ethan Page are in the parking lot. There's a bunch of security to keep Ethan and Trick apart because we can't be having no nonsense go down. And Ethan is here to talk to Ava about his contract and everything that's in it. Which then we get into our normal recap of what happened last week. We get a shot of the crowd. And we just jump straight into our first match of the evening. Our TNA Knockouts World Champion, Jordynne Grace, taking on NXT talent Stevie Turner. Poor Stevie. She didn't last long in this match, but more importantly, she didn't even get a whole entrance because as soon as she makes her way into the ring, Roxanne's music hits. And Roxanne joins Vic and Booker on commentary. This was a very short match, and all it did was serve the purpose to get Jordynne a win and to have her looking strong going into her match against Roxanne for the NXT Women's Championship at Battleground. There's one big problem that I had with this match. Stevie Turner was not the right opponent.
Nope.
And I am very familiar with Stevie Turner from NXT UK. She's a fantastic talent. I love her wrestling skills. But the problem is that she's been mostly on Level Up the last couple of weeks. And this is her first time on NXT TV in a very long time. For those who don't watch NXT religiously or have that background knowledge of NXT UK, it served no purpose to introduce Stevie Turner to the audience like this.
None.
I
mentioned it off camera, but I felt, and it was a hot take. I was like, this match was useless. It really was.
I get that we have to have Jordynne get a win and to look strong because we only have Jordynne for 3 appearances, which was last week, this week, and at Battleground. But I feel that there were other women in that locker room we could have had Jordynne fight.
But, here's my question. Did we really? And the reason I ask that is Jordynne Grace is a freaking champion. I mean, she holds a title. So why do we have to prove anything? I mean, honestly, when they announced that she was coming in to fight Roxanne, I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, that's awesome because I love Jordynne Grace and I think she'd be a great opponent for Roxanne. But I'm like, this is why I thought this match was unnecessary. It was just nobody really won because one, Stevie, I mean, you're right. It was the worst way to introduce her. Worst way. And Jordynne, even though won the match, what did she win? She won against someone that we don't know. Like, I mean, we know who she is, but in the NXT, like, America world, we don't know who she is. I mean, I had to look her up, to be honest. And So I was just like, it was a lose-lose situation, and I didn't. So I was just like, why is this? I mean, if you're gonna, and I agree with you in the aspect of if you're gonna do a match like this, then you need to put someone in the ring with Jordan Grace. One that can match her power, and two, we know already. I would much rather her have gone up against, oh God, who was available at this point? I'm trying, who's not
Issue
been,
two
you know,
is because my normal go-tos are no longer in
yeah,
NXT, like Lyra and
yeah.
Blair are not there. Even Kiana's not even there. And
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
it was gonna be a
anyway,
lose-lose regardless, but
yeah,
Jordan Grace picks up the victory here. Her and Roxanne have a stare down. Roxanne tries to beat Jordan Grace up, which is a huge mistake.
it was
Roxanne
funny.
gets out of the ring and they have a stare down to end. And that is how we end this to get into our feud and our match at Battleground. Is this kicked off the show? The women started off. This was all we saw of Roxanne Perez the whole entire night was on commentary and this face off. Jordan got more screen time, which was really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know. I don't think,
crazy.
and I've mentioned this before. I don't think they're doing Roxanne right. I don't think they are. They have not been focusing on her as a champion. Like, you're right. I mean, I'm trying to think the last episode I watched, how many times she was in that? Maybe once, maybe twice. And I'm like, why are you not, when Lyra when Lyra was champion, they had her all over the damn place. But now they don't have Roxanne hardly anywhere, and that's just bugs me.
Well, I think what's also a big problem, and I'm going to bring this up when we talk about the final segment that ended this episode too, because main roster has
Yeah.
called over some of the NXT kids to main roster. We are trying to fill the void of everybody we have left. And I think that definitely hurts for both the men's and the women's main title picture because regardless, depending on who you're talking to, at least Trick has an opponent. And I was like, okay, this should be fun. But then I'm looking at the women's roster. I was like, nobody else has been built to be able to reach Roxanne quite yet. Because the closest we got was with Lyra, but she's gone. Blair could have been there, but she's gone. No status of, how far along Cora Jade is on her recovery. But there's nobody else right now in the women's division. Depending on what happens on Saturday, I could see Michin go after Roxanne for a little bit, which would be a really good feud because she is fantastic in the ring. Or even, if she doesn't win, like I could see a feud with Sol Ruka. Like that would be really cool. But you haven't built any other women up and you're scrambling to just get through, which I totally get. And it's not NXT and Shawn Michaels' fault that Triple H called up some of the NXT folks. But you gotta start figuring out what you're gonna do because you have the summer, and I want this to be a summer of a good title reign for Roxanne. But right now, I'm excited. I'm still excited for the match against Jordan Grace at Battleground, but what's gonna happen beyond that?
Yep.
We go from one thing that is uncertain to one thing that is certain. We cut back to the parking lot. Lash Legend, Trick Williams, they broke up. Well, in kayfabe, they're still dating in real life,
Yeah.
as we come to know. But you know what? I'm proud of it. It wasn't for no nonsense. Like Lash said that I need to break up with you. It's not because of anything you did was wrong, but I got a chance to become the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion, and I got to put all my focus and attention on that. And you got to focus on your championship stuff too. And you know what? I gotta say, shout out to Trick Williams because he took this like the mature adult he is. He's like, you know what? I understand that. You do what you gotta do. You have my full support, and I'm gonna holla at you later. I was just like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a wrestling show has shown how you can break up amicably without being messy. This was stupid though. I like good stupid silliness.
Yeah.
It's camp. I love it.
But you know what's so funny is I also think that I don't think people were like particularly thrilled with that storyline. I mean, because personally, I personally didn't really care for it because it felt forced. Like, oh, they're dating in real life, so let's make a thing out of it. And it's like, well, and I'm all excited that they're dating in real life, but I didn't need it. I didn't need it in the ring. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I mean, other people who are, married, they don't make a big deal out of it, really. I mean, we know they're married or they've got, spouses that are like either wrestlers or in some aspect of the industry. But I'm sorry, I just keep it out of the ring. I mean, if you're gonna, yeah, I didn't.
I mean, we are going to come back to Lash because she's coming up in a little bit. But beforehand, we cut to commercial and we come back. And I'm going to only get this because I'm somebody who reviews AEW. Sean Spears saw what Chris Jericho's doing in AEW with the Learning Tree. It's like, hey, copyright infringement. Let's do it too in NXT, because Sean Spears is talking to some of the younger talent backstage, which is a bunch of trainees plus Javon Evans as like the prominent figure in this scene. And then, oh my gosh. All right, Josh Briggs, I love you. You are a tall drink of water, sir. You are a powerhouse. We need you to take acting classes because this was not good acting. Well, this was so bad. I'm not a theater person. I'm not involved in theater. I don't claim to be, but even I know this was bad. Oh my gosh, bro. As the kids say, this was actually kind of cringe.
Yeah. I started watching it and then I had to turn away. I mean, it was so painful. I actually felt very sorry for him.
Briggs has fallen so far to me, and it makes me sad because I was like, at Deadline, and even at Stand and Deliver, I was like, yo, this is about to be on and poppin', and then post Stand and Deliver, I'm just like, damn, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and they just because but but that's NXT's thing though. They hype somebody and they hype somebody and they hype somebody, and then they suddenly go, oh wait, let's go over here and do this over here. It's like NXT has like hyper ADHD. They're like,
I know,
yes.
It's like, ooh, like, okay, anybody familiar with Family Guy? It's like the skit, ooh, he's skinny.
Yeah,
exactly.
It is. It's like because we've seen it happen many times, not just Josh Briggs. We saw it happen with
start and stop pushes are driving me nuts.
We've seen it with like Kalani. They were starting to like really focus on her at one point,
stopped.
and then they just stopped. I mean,
now she's getting back into it. Start and stop. Thea Hale starting. Yeah,
Hale. I mean, it's like, what the hell are they doing? And yeah, they also did it with Eddie Thorpe there for a little bit, and then finally we got back into it. But
now I feel that Eddie's case is a little bit different because he was out on injury after that NXT Underground match in December.
No,
so I give
it was
him that.
Before that.
But yeah, even before that, like the feud with Dijak was fantastic. But before that, it definitely was start and stop. Like he had feuded with Dijak, then we put a pause on that. Then we came back to it, put a pause on it again. And then we finally did it. The start and stop is getting
it was
my nerves.
Crazy.
And that's exactly what I feel like it's happening with Josh.
And it's also happening with Ridge Holland.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
I know.
It's like words.
But he's also one of those that it's like they build to something and then they just stop and they go to something else. So it's like, you're hurting my head, NXT, you're hurting my head. So anyway, I'll get off my box.
So ultimately, this sets up that Josh and Sean Spears are going to have a match later in the evening. Cool. Sure. Fine.
Whatever.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Whatever.
At first, I hated it, but kind of like where we're going with it. And if they make the right person win, I will be behind it. But next, Booker T is hosting this NXT Women's North American Championship Summit. We don't have to go this bit by bit. We've seen this multiple times. Last time we saw a bunch of women in the ring like this was when they did the summit for the women's for the women's Iron Woman Survivor Challenge for Deadline. This one was a little bit better. It was still the same paint by numbers. Everybody gets a couple lines in. Big brawl breaks out. My MVP of this whole entire thing, well, my two MVPs actually, because, excuse my French, but I love when two hood bitches just be fighting each other, and I want to feud after this. Michin just talking her shit, like, to begin this, and Jaida Parker with the line of the night, calling out Michin and saying this ain't the black and gold days, But if you talk to me again, I'm gonna turn your ass black and blue. I was like,
It was so good. Oh my god.
winner,
Yeah.
best line of the night. This
It
is
was
the
so
quote.
good.
See, here's the thing. To me, Jaida Parker has everything. We just need to work on her finisher. But this girl has so much potential to
I
be the
agree.
baddest woman in NXT right now.
And
And
they need to get her away from out the mud.
yeah, OTM is like,
She
we
needs to
haven't
get
even
away
seen
from
our
them.
boys OTM.
No.
I mean, Scripps is no longer in
Uh-uh.
WWE because his contract is expired. We don't know what happened to Bronco and Nima.
Mm-mm.
But
No idea.
honestly, let Jaida Parker run roughshod by herself because she's great. Her, Michin, and honestly, Lash Legend were the three highlights.
Mhm.
Poor Fallon got ran over on the mic by all these girls. Sol Ruco had the best approach to it. She's like, I'm gonna let all these girls talk, then I'm gonna say my thing, and then brawl breaks out. So it is what it is. But give me Michin versus Jaida Parker in a feud for a little bit. That is what I want to see out of this.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Totally agree. I've really grown to love Jaida Parker, man. I love her. I love her presence in the ring. Actually, I love her presence everywhere. I mean, anytime they have her on camera, I mean, the camera loves her. I mean, not even gonna lie. Just like Lash, the camera loves her. It's like, so yeah, I think, and I kind of hope that personally, I would love to see Jaida and Lash be a tag team. I think they would be some badass bitches in the ring.
I mean, we know and we've seen it work. Like Lash and Jada could be a tag team because on the main roster right now, we have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Like, those are also two bad bitches who can fight people.
Seriously.
And with Naomi, they are unofficially called Black Girl Magic as their tag team name. So I don't care. That's what they're called to me. They need to capitalize on that. But
Seriously.
This summit was not as bad as the Iron Woman Survivor one for Deadline. But it was paint by numbers, but it was still fun.
It was.
Okay. Well, I gotta breathe because I thought Josh Briggs's acting was really, really bad.
Oh God, I know.
We get this really weird mirror filmed like segment with no quarter catch crew.
I have said it from day one that they are horrible.
Charlie Dempsey doesn't need to talk. I blame him. I blame whoever wrote this. I blame whoever shot this. Though Miles had my favorite line. And it was unintentional. I was like, that's kind of messed up, but I'm kind of here for it because I'm dark humored like that. When Charlie says, Miles, did you hear me? And Miles is like, as best as I can. I was like, oh shit, it's because he's deaf. I forgot.
Yeah,
oh my God.
So funny. I did gonna go.
We're messed up people. That was funny, but
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I thought Josh was bad. This was worse.
But
I had to mute it. I was just like, there's not enough words in the English dictionary to feel how uncomfortable this was for me in the sense of how cringe and how bad it was, Will.
The last 2 or 3 scenes that they have had dialogue in have been horrible. And it's because they let Dempsey speak. Stop letting him talk. I'd rather have, what's his name? Oh my God, his name always escapes me. He fights later on.
Tony
Damon.
Oh yeah, Damon.
Kemp. I mean, I like Damon Kemp when he speaks. I've been like, let him speak.
Yeah, Charlie doesn't need to talk.
No, my God.
He is not his father, William Regal, which is even worse to me. Like, Will, I'm pretty sure you're aware who William Regal is.
Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yes, like
no, he is nothing.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have the mic skills or the charisma like his dad. And that to me, again, on the one hand, I try not to compare kids to their parents because we want them to be different. We don't want them to be copycat. But holy shit, dude, Charlie, your dad is William Regal, who we know can speak gold on the mic. And when he was general manager of NXT Black and Gold, like, he is good on the mic. What happened?
Yeah, because I'm just like, every time he opens his mouth, I'm literally like, you're adopted, aren't you? There's no way. There's no way you're his. No way. No. It's like, I just like, that apple fell like miles from the tree. Like, damn. Because I mean, I have to mute it because it is so bad. It is so bad. And God bless the boy, the man rather. He's a man, not a boy. Well, he's probably younger than I am, so he's a boy.
To be fair, everybody's younger than you.
That is fair. That is true, and I'm okay with that. But I mean, it's like he just needs lessons. That's the thing. And I've said this 1,000 times before about other wrestlers who are bad on the mic. Get them elocution lessons and make them take a public speaking class. Serious. Find a local community college in your area and make a deal with them and sign them up for a public speaking class. Let them learn how to speak in front of people, because my God, I was the same way with like Baron Corbin. Remember? I was like, oh my God, why do they keep giving him a mic? Stop it. This is the same thing. And actually, this is worse. And for me to say that this is worse than what BC was oh my goodness. Because this is horrible. And and when he was all like, well, what I could hear, I was like, count your blessings, because the rest of us had to hear it, and my ears may have been bleeding a little bit. I don't know, but it's horrible. Stop giving him dialogue. Give him a yeah, and be done.
Just let him be the brawler type where he just punches you in the face. Yeah, we know his in-ring is never in question for me.
No,
but his mic skills are not great. It's really tough for sure.
They're horrible.
So we go from this, and so we cut backstage really quickly where all of Chase U is walking Thea, because Thea has a match coming up. But when we get closer towards the entranceway, Riley is being a little bitch. And he decides not to go out, and Duke is backing Riley's play. So Duke and Riley Osborne are not going to be going out to support Thea. Andre Chase is still going to. And then from off screen, we see Rich Holland come in and be like, hey, Thea, we got this match, unaware of what happened. And so Rich asks Andre if Duke and Riley are going to come out there. And Andre Chase is like trying to play peacemaker, because he's like, oh, they decided to sit this one out, instead of saying, nah, they being the bitches instead of coming out. They're in their feelings. So we get Duke Hudson, Rich Holland escorting Thea Hale to come out against her match against Jasmine Nix. So I'm going to pull an Andrew here, where we get Thea's entrance, go to commercial, come back, we get a backstage segment where Ethan Page is talking with Ava about the contract. And then we get Jasmine Nix's entrance. I'm not going to lie. I am surprised that Thea lost this match.
I can't believe that.
Soul. Now, in storyline, that's fantastic, because now Thea's going to want to go up against Jasmine again. And obviously, we're going to be building when JC's ready to come back with that broken nose. Yeah. Thea versus JC's definitely back on the cards. But I was kind of surprised that Jasmine won, and Jasmine won clean. She took advantage of Thea's mistake, and she won. No cheating, no like dirty tactics. She beat Thea clean.
Oh, I know. I agree.
On the one hand, I'm excited because Jasmine's new. We want to build her up. But it makes me really sad because Thea's been on a losing streak for a lot of recently. She got a win against JC a couple weeks ago, but before that, Thea's been on the losing end.
It's constantly. And I'm just like, I mean, if this is like a build to something, then cool. But if it's not, then I'm going to be I would be very upset about it. This whatever this is with her and Ridge Holland, I really want it to become something pretty badass.
Like, I want it to be too, but I think before we get there, because the seeds are being planted, I think eventually we're gonna get Riley and Duke versus Andre and Ridge. Chase U is gonna be splitting.
Yeah, it's gonna split. Yeah,
the split's gonna happen. Which we're gonna have a custody a Hale ladder match.
Oh God, I know, right? Which really surprises me with Duke, though.
Riley, I totally on board with. I was like, okay, I understand where he's coming from. Motivations make sense. I need to hear Duke's motivations of why he's siding with Riley. Because I was just like, sir, we thought you were turning at Stand and Deliver 2 years ago. And then you turned the tides by staying true to Chase U. And you've been ride or die ever since. I need to know what has changed in order to get there, because we're getting him going to turn on Chase U, which would be exciting.
Yeah.
But I need to hear the reasons why.
Yeah, why?
Because where's the motivation?
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, with Duke, because Duke has always been so faithful to Andre. He had to have, and Andre hasn't done anything. That's what's so funny about it. Andre hasn't done a thing, so it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for Duke to do what he did.
Right. The only thing that Andre has done is he almost got the college closed because of his gambling problems, but we fixed that at Vengeance Day thanks to JC and Thea and the rest of the girls of Chase U. And I feel that at this point, Andre has kind of paid penance for that because he's been on the straight and narrow ever since. Now, had that been the motivation back then, I would have been fine. But all that happened like end of February, beginning of March. We are in June at this point. Like, I know storylines got to evolve, but I need to hear Duke's motivations before I can get 100% invested in this. Because I like where we're going, but there are pieces still missing that NXT need to fill in for me. But Jasmine walks out of this match with the victory. And once again, poor Thea Hale is being consoled by Ridge Holland and Andre Chase. I need Ridge Holland and Thea Hale to become Team Little Big version 2.0 because I need that dynamic because I think it would be fantastic. So we go from here. We get a pre-tape segment. The OC are attacking Nathan Frazier and Axiom as they're selling merch on the NXT truck outside, which I'm also going to couple what we get later. Axiom and Nathan Frazier, you know, they were clothed in the segment. They come walking out shirtless like they just had a match. I was just like, I'm not going to complain, but I was just like, they have the cartoonishly like ice pack, the little blue one with the little circular knob on top of it. I was like, what in the Mary Poppins is this, y'all? But they get attacked in the segment. The OC attacked them, and then Nathan and Axiom are upset, and they're basically going to go into Battleground. They might be battered and bruised, but they're going to take down the OC. And I'm just like, you tried NXT. I still don't care about this story in our tag team division. The match is going to be fire, but that's because Axiom and Nathan Frazier are fantastic. But I don't care about the OC. I don't care about the story of how we got this match and where it led to. You tried, but I do not care.
Agreed.
Love it. So now we're supposed to get a match between Josh Briggs and Sean Spears. That doesn't even happen. And this is not the first time tonight that I'm going to be saying this. And this is what makes me mad. We were supposed to get a match between Sean Spears and Josh Briggs. But then Vic Joseph says, somebody get a camera back there. Something's going on. And the cameraman runs through the entrance ramp. And we find that Sean Spears is beating up on Josh Briggs. I'm like, Josh, you are a whole like 2.5 feet taller than Sean Spears. How did this happen? Like, what is happening here? Even with the chair, I'm like, sir, how did this happen? And so I was mad. I was like, well, this is going to be stupid. But then, I don't know about you, Will, and you can disagree with me. To me, it got better because who should come and save the day? But Javon Evans just looks at... I love that he doesn't even just jump in. He just looks at... He does the logical thing, which is crazy to say in wrestling. He pops up in the scene. He's watching what happens for a little bit. He's analyzing. He's, figuring out which emotions to respond with. Instead of like getting super crazy and punching Sean Spears, he just looks directly at him. Sean Spears turns around, basically in a "this isn't what it looks like" moment. And Javon's like, "Nah, you about to catch these hands." And so then a brawl breaks out where Javon and Sean are attacking each other. It leads into the ring. Javon almost goes through a table, but Sean Spears is very so unlucky. That cutter that Javon hits on Sean Spears in the ring at the end of this thing was beautiful. And I'm going to be honest, if they don't start and stop this, I'm kind of here for a Sean Spears, Javon Evans feud. This is going to be good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought this was pretty good. This is pretty cool. I like that.
Javon is so good.
Javon
is great. He's like, really, and it sucks because like I always say, is just like, we don't want to ruin the shininess of the new toy, but damn, man, I can't not. It's the same way, and Will can probably understand this, but me and Andrew talked about this last week on TNA. I know, bringing up another promotion. That's crazy. The way I feel about Javon Evans is the same way that I feel about Leon Slater in TNA. Both are very young. Both are 19. Both are already prodigies in what they do. and they are fantastic to watch. I mean, I said it last week. Leon Slater versus Mustafa Ali was one of my top 2 matches of the evening. My number 1 obviously being Joe Hendry versus Eddie Edwards. That match was baller.
It was
it's
good.
The way I feel about Leon is the same way I feel about Javon in all those senses. And I think that if NXT takes their time and does this right, this feud between Javon and Shawn Spears has the potential to be really fun and really good. Let's just make sure that we tell the correct story.
And we all know that NXT sometimes has a problem with that.
Yeah. I was like, I'm excited for the feud, but the execution of the storyline, I'm like, this is wrestling entertainment. The wrestling is going to be good. The entertainment, I just need to be tweaked on. Like, I love me a good spot fest, but you got to get me invested in character work and storylines, because all those amalgamate to a really good promotion that makes me want to come back and watch your television program every single week.
Yep.
So I say all this because next up, don't get me wrong, I love Tony. I'm happy he has the Heritage Cup, but damn, I was like, Damon had no chance, because this literally was a 2-0 victory after 3 rounds. We have our NXT Heritage Cup Championship match. Damon Kemp representing No Quarter Catch Crew, takes on Tony D'Angelo, our NXT Heritage Cup champion. This match only goes 3 rounds. Tony picks up the victory in round 1, and then he picks up his second victory at the very beginning of round 3. So it was a decisive 2-0 victory. Now, I will say, Damon looked really great during this match in-ring wise. Like, those German suplexes are fantastic, and Tony is actually changing up how he wrestles a little bit. So that's also really fun to watch, because he's evolving and he's doing things that he normally doesn't do, and he's learning to expand his repertoire, especially since the NXT Heritage Cup requires you to be able to adapt to your wrestling style in the shorter match, with these short bursts of rounds. Having said all that, I don't know where else we go with this D'Angelo family and No Quarter Catch Crew storyline. Like, this all started because, No Quarter Catch Crew may or may not have asked Tony D'Angelo and the family to off Drew Gulak without saying those exact words, but that's exactly what kind of happened. But I don't know where else we go with this. I feel that I hope we're done with this, because Miles got beat. Damon Kemp got beat. Charlie lost the title to begin with to Tony. I don't think there's anything left, but I have the sneaky suspicion, and I'm afraid that NXT is going to continue with this, because there's nothing else for the family and for No Quarter Catch Crew right now to do, because there's no other like trios or big faction in NXT right now that can do that, because the other factions are involved in other stuff, and we're going to talk about a certain, European, Scottish, Welshman, set of boys later in the evening. And I'm mad, because I was just like, yes, you can continue to do that, but
I know.
We'll talk about it when we get there. But Will, what are your thoughts about the Heritage Cup championship match and just this whole weirdness that is No Quarter Catch Crew and family drama?
All I know with this is it hasn't been the same since Noam lost it. I think the Heritage Cup has lost its, dare I say, shine. I mean, it's more of a power grab now all of a sudden than it was a true champion, like a chalice win. It's like the best man wins. No, it's more like, with this chalice, I have power. And it's not fun anymore. When Noam had it, it was always fun. It was something always entertaining. It was, and I don't know. And since No Quarter Catch Crew's had it, it's just been like, oh God, just sucks. I mean, just sucks the energy out of the room. It's just like, so I'm just sort of like, I mean, I love both the wrestlers. I think they're great. It's just so like, I just don't care anymore. And I hate that, and I love Tony D'Angelo as a solo fighter. I really do. I mean, I really do. Then he needs, and I'm sorry, and this is probably going to be another hot take, but I think the family needs to break up.
Or we need to find another dynamic to give them to, because
It's
Well, I mean, the thing is that what I liked initially was because it was Tony and Stacks basically
Mhm.
running the tag team division, which was fantastic. And I liked the addition of Adriana Rizzo as our female in the faction, and then we picked up Luca Crucifino, and I like the idea of these far as a faction. My issue with this is because Tony's doing all the heavy lifting as our NXT Heritage Cup champion. I mean, Stacks and Crucifino had a title shot match, and that match was fantastic, but they're not doing anything else except just being accessories to Tony. And don't even get me started on Miss Rizzo because she was starting to wrestle in the ring, and then we kind of just stopped having her be that. So again, start and stop momentum. I don't know if NXT lost faith in them, and Tony's the only one that's kind of getting the shine right now. But we either need, I'm not saying that we need to break them up because I hate breaking up factions just because, but we need to add another dynamic to the family because it's getting stale. I know the NXT universe loves them and I love them too, but as an evolution and if you want longevity in this business with the wrestling, you have to find ways to, if not, you don't need to change your gimmick 100%, but you have to find nuances and other things to add dimension and depth to what you're doing. We can look at some of the greats who managed to do that over the years. Like, despite his political takes, The Undertaker is a good example of how you add nuance and depth to different versions of your character. Because remember, when Undertaker started, he didn't talk because he had Paul Bearer do all the talking for him. Then he turned into the American Badass Undertaker, where he came into the motorcycle, and he was basically what Sons of Anarchy will become years later. And then he became the dead man that we all know and love. All still the same character, all still this big man, badass powerhouse character, but the character evolved and added depth at each stage of the career. And Tony D'Angelo and the family, I feel like, have been in NXT long enough where that is now overdue and needed for them. Let's add another dimension to them
Mhm.
because otherwise it's going to get stale. And I don't want that to happen because I like all the people involved, but you got to keep me invested in the character. That's my 2 cents. That's my TED Talk. That's my soapbox.
No, and I agree with that. And I just when I said breakup, I didn't mean like the group breakup. I mean they need to break up this thing that they're doing because it's so stereotypical, cookie cutter, typical gangster. I mean, there's nothing exciting about it. There's nothing new about it. It's just like, and then when they brought Crucifino in, it felt like, oh, we're bringing him in so that we can make it interesting again. And I don't think it worked like as the dynamic. I mean, I think he and Stax fight well together, but the dynamic didn't change. He just came in and fell right into the mold as opposed to, oh, we're going to bring in this new face and we're going to shift everything that we're doing. And we didn't do that. And it was like, because you know how they say you have to change or you'll die. Change has to happen. And I think we're starting to see a downward slide in this current iteration. So I think they're gonna have to change something. They're gonna have to move out of the I'm an Italian gangster. They need to move out of that because it's not working anymore. It's becoming almost felonious, and it's like, and don't get me wrong, I'm a Gen Xer, so, and I'm like very much like, we played with sharp objects outside, but you've got impressionable like young people now, and you see that oh, I love Tony D'Angelo, he's so amazing. Oh wait, what? He killed a dude and didn't go to prison? Hey, maybe I could kill a dude and not go to prison. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's an extreme example, but you know what I'm saying?
We have seen where fanaticism go and take a turn for a darker side part
Yeah.
of it. Like we've seen it in lots of other mediums. We've said what we said about all this, so we shall see what happens with all of that. So we're gonna run through the next couple parts because we got a lot of things, and we had a very short women's match that I don't even want to cover for too long because it was nothing really before we get to our other big match. But We cut backstage. Ava is there. Trick Williams doesn't care. He wants Ethan Page, who will join Ava and Ethan Page later in the evening to get this contract signed because Trick Williams going to run from nobody, which is awesome. We love that Trick is not afraid to fight people. It's fantastic. Then we go to another backstage segment. Jordan Grace got more screen time than Roxanne because Jordan Grace has a quick conversation with Michin because some TNA history between there when Michin was in TNA like a year and a half ago after being released by WWE, and her and Jordan mixed it up. It was really, really great. And so Ruka interrupts to tell how much she loves her. Jaida Parker interrupts, saying basically be like, Jordan, get out my way. This is NXT. Y'all need to leave. Low key, Jaida Parker versus Jordan Grace would be kind of down. It'd be a fantastic match, I think. And then we get more interruptions because Ariana Grace comes in and has this really weird, funny moment with Jordan Grace. The fact that Ariana is Santino's daughter just makes it so much better with the connection to TNA right there. And then we get an interesting thing because Tatum Paxley comes in and she's eyeing Jordan Grace's title. I'm like, no, no, I don't think so. But it's like the kombucha girl meme is like, like, I was like, I don't know how I feel. I'd be kind of down with that. But it seems that we're going to shift to this because as Ariana leaves, she says something about her crown. It's like Tatum's just like, yes, the crown. I was just like, are we going to get Ariana versus Tatum? Because I kind of be here for that. I don't know. It's really weird. But again, Jordan Grace got more screen time than Roxanne Perez, which is really weird. Then we get into my favorite pre-tape video segment of the whole entire night. We get an inside look of Lola versus Shayna. We get like this very MMA style interviewee with Lola and Shayna cutting promos. I also love the fact that, in this generation of NXT, everybody who's not familiar with Shayna Baszler's work got like a video package. And yes, she is still currently the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion of all times, both in black and gold in the current 2.0 era that we are in. I hate to say this. Also, shout out to the MMA fighters that were actually a part of this, like Josh Barnett. We had actual MMA fighters, which makes sense since, UFC and WWE have a partnership together. This is going to sound really bad, Will. I love Lola. But after this, I'm kind of rooting for Shayna to kick her ass. This reminded me of why I love Shayna Baszler so much. And main roster has made me so mad of how they utilize her. Because just in one singular line, I'm going to remind everybody why I'm the Queen of Spades. I'm like, yes, girl, let's go.
Yeah. Now, it's funny, but I agree. I agree with you. I do. And I'm just like, I don't know. We're going to talk about it in a different video, but this is one of those moments where I'm just like, I don't know. It's like, are we gonna crap on Lola again? Or are we gonna let her have a moment to shine? I don't know. This is one of those things. It's just like, because I love both of them. That's what's so funny. But I'm agreeing with you. I'm excited to see what she's gonna be achieving. This is, even though I know we're in our last reviews for NXT, I will be keeping track because there are some folks I want to keep up on. But this is probably two of the people that I really want to kind of see where their thing goes. So
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This video package, I know I was complaining last week. I was like, I'm excited for an underground match, but we kind of already had one. And after this video package, I was like, nah, let these girls fight. And because they are having this pay-per-view in the UFC, like Apex built-in arena, let them fight in a UFC cage. Let these girls actually fight because Shayna and Lola are also trained MMA fighters too. Like, oh my gosh, it would be so brutal. I'm kind of here for it. So then we get a quick match. Me and Will, you probably agree with me, but I'm going to spend too much time on it. Izzy Dame versus Natalya. Natalya wins. Poor Carmen Petrovic, she is injured. I was like, damn, not another one. I'm like, the NXT women keep getting hurt, man, at these live shows. It's like, it's kind of getting wild. But Natalya picks up the win here. We move on.
Yep.
So from here, we already talked about Nathan Axiom in the parking lot with the Mary Poppins ice pack. So then we get into another match that was supposed to happen, but it didn't. And I'm so mad. I'm like, Tyreek Igwe and Tyson DuPont come out. TNT, as we lovingly call them, Tyreek and Tyson. They're supposed to have a tag team match. And then, we get shown what happens during commercial. The Gallus boys come out and attack Tyson and Tyreek. And then I had to watch, well, this is not being racist or anything, but I had to watch this promo a couple of times because that accent is so strong.
Oh my
And
god,
then
I know. It's so funny is I put closed captioning on. I was like, because literally I was like, wait, what? What did he say?
that accent is so thick. I was just like, I don't know what you're saying, but continue.
I know. Go
But
on.
but once I watched it enough times and I got the content of their promo, I'm like, oh god, not the we don't do this for internet clout promo. I hate these promos so much, Will,
Yeah, I
because
know.
this is literally the new I can't believe I'm saying this. I am a man who is 31 years old, and I am not old by any means necessary. Will probably strike me down for saying this, but I am a man of a certain age where I hate these Twitter feud-esque promos. Like, you said something about me on the internet, now we gonna fight about it. But this is worse because the Gallus boys talk about, we didn't return for internet clout. Somebody said something on Instagram or Twitter. I was just like, oh god, not one of these promos. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm so happy that Obafemi interrupted. I was like, just stop. Just stop.
I know.
I was like, stop it. Which, well, I mean, Obafemi interrupts. He talks about, he's like, I gotta commend you guys. I'm not running from you, but I understand that you are a very dangerous bunch. And I was like, thank you. You acknowledge that fact. But Obafemi is gonna continue to do what he needs to do. And then Wesley interrupts. Gallus boys jump Obafemi. Wes tries to get involved. They beat up Wes. And I wrote this down in my notes because I thought it was funny since the Gallus boys have returned. Mark Coffey loves to take his shirt off.
And I'm okay with that.
Him and his curly Q mustache. But
Yep.
once again, Oba and Wes are lying in the ring. They're like, Gallus boys are successful. And when we talk about it in another video, this is telling me, I was like, oh, Mark Coffey's getting pinned in the Battleground match. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But
Agreed. I agree. But anyway, yes.
I was like, Mark Coffey, I was like,
Yummy to watch. She was yummy to look at.
But I was just like, bro, not this promo, though.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, oh, yes. And then you started talking. I was like, damn.
Oh, shit. It's like, what? What?
Well, actually, he could read the dictionary to me and I'd be fine with it. But
I would be.
yeah,
I don't have to understand him.
I was just like, certain things are universal language. And we'll talk off air about those. But I hate the internet. I don't do this for fame, internet clout. I'm like, nope. Okay, moving on. Now, I'm personally excited because we get a quick vignette of Miss Wendy Chu breaking a mirror with just her new dark makeup. I was just like, yes, Wendy, let's go. I'm excited for Wendy. I'm happy to have her back. She's been way too long. I still think her lights out match versus Tiffany was fantastic. Though we're getting a darker Wendy Chu, and she's coming to NXT next week. I'm like, woo, let's go. So then,
as we're leaving.
I know, as we're leaving. But stay tuned to the social media because I'm going to be doing the quick reviews, and who knows, I might have Will like film certain parts. Like, we'll actually script this like actual theater people. I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll try.
Love it.
Okay. So this is where we might get a little divisive because Lexis King appears on my screen. This interview was trash. But oh my gosh, Dante Chen attacks him and we're actually getting somewhere. And I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, we actually have something I wanted from Lexis. Mm-hmm. Like the promo was but I understood. I was like, okay, I kind of like where this is going. Mm-hmm. Dante is like, nah, forget this. I'm going to beat you up. And then they fight. And then Lexis at the end of this is like, oh, we're going to finish this one way or another. I was like, this is what I've been asking for Lexis King for the whole entire time he's been on my NXT television screen. I'm like, what in the actual flip? And of course, it's when we're about to not cover it on the YouTube channel in depth anymore. I'm like, gosh darn it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the frustrating thing about this is they waited so long to do it. Like, did it really take you this long to figure out what to do with him?
And we have a proper feud now between him and Dante. Because up to this point, Lexis was battling everybody and their mother at this point. But now it seems that we're finally giving Lexis an actual feud. And this also gives Dante a feud to partake in as well. I'm just mad it took us like,
Yeah.
let's see, he debuted at Halloween Havoc in October. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. It literally took us 8 months to finally get something for Lexis. I'm like, dang, bro. That's
Yep. I agree with you. It's like,
crazy.
now we're like leaving.
I know, how dare they? But these two are going to settle it in the ring. I'm actually looking forward to the match itself. Then we get into our final match of the evening before we just get vignettes and, in-ring stuff. This was a chaotic 6-woman tag. We have Lash legend Kalani Jordan and Fallon Henley taking on Michin, Jaida Parker, and Sol Ruca. This was a chaotic AF match. Everyone basically got to spam the finishing move. This was overbooked, but it worked. Sol Ruca out here snatching souls with her finisher is that I will never get tired of the Soul Snatcher, honestly. But the team of Michin, Jaida Parker, and Sol Ruca pick up the victory here after everybody just is chaotically fighting in this match.
Yeah, it was all over the place, and I was okay with it. I mean, I'm okay with it, and it was like, these 6-person matches get so chaotic at times that you don't know what's going on. So there were times I'm just like, okay, I'm not really sure who's doing what to who anymore. So I was like, okay, let me just like close my eyes and listen to it for a little bit. And I was like, okay, so I can kind of follow it a little bit more, and then I got back into it. But it's when you get like 6-man or 6-person, 8-person, whatever. It just seems so like it's too many people. But as we were saying earlier, off screen, is that I thought, or I believe, or I like the fact that this grouping of 6 women is so well put together. I mean, at first, because there were people all like, "Oh, I'm so sad, so and so didn't get in here. Oh, so and so." But now I'm like, no, this was a really good group to get in here. Because you've got styles all over the spectrum. You've got powerhouses, you've got the fast ones, you've got the acrobatic ones. I mean, it's just, I think it's going to be such a good match. I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about this.
I am too. And we'll talk about that in another video, but I'm also excited. So we move on from this. Backstage, Stevie Turner says to Ava what we were all thinking. She said she thought it was not fair for Stevie to have a match against Jordan. Ava blows her off. So who knows if we'll see more Stevie on NXT television, or she will go back to Level Up. But who knows with all of this? We shall see. Again, poor Stevie. I was just like, you are saying everything that I'm feeling, girl.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
it was not fair, but that's neither here nor there. Then, once again, Eddie Thorpe graces our television screen with this another awesome vignette. I'm like, please return next week. Please return next week. Please return next week. I have missed it. Once again, we're not going to be covering NXT in depth. And I was like, oh, now you want to bring back Eddie Thorpe? I was like, I hate you, NXT. How dare you?
Oh, my God, I know.
But he's one of the people on my list I want to keep an eye on.
Me too.
Even though we're not going to cover in depth, I'm still going to watch it because I'm going to support Eddie because
I will watch his matches for sure.
For sure. So that was cool. Vic Joseph runs down the card for Battleground. And then we get into our final segment where we have the contract signing of All Ego, Ethan Page. And we get our final match for Battleground set up at the end of this. Now, I am familiar with Ethan Page from his work in TNA when he was teamed up with Josh Alexander and they were known as the Tag Team the North. And then he moved over to AEW and Ring of Honor. In AEW, he was with Scorpio Sky and they were known as Men of the Year, which was also a fantastic tag team. Ethan Page's in-ring work is super clean and is really good. And I'm excited for you, Will, to see that because me and Andrew are very familiar with it. And despite the character trope of being this person with a ginormous ego, and maybe you might disagree with me and I'm okay with that. The content of Ethan Page's promo, this man on the mic is probably the best thing NXT has right now. His mic skills are fantastic. Again, the content is basically And you know what? He ran through and he even hyped up people without being disrespectful, despite him having an ego. And his reasoning for attacking Trick is nothing personal, but Trick in his feud with Carmelo, he stole the spotlight from Carmelo by working and becoming NXT champ. And so that is all Ethan is doing. And Trick agrees to have this match. So, number one, Ethan Page is now signed to NXT full time. So, yay. All the matches that I'm excited to see him go against will be great. But number two, Ethan's first match is going to be for the NXT Championship at Battleground. So Ethan and Trick have a face-off as NXT goes off the air. So Will, this was your first real introduction to the promo style that is all ego Ethan Page. And I know we talked a little bit off camera about certain feelings about using this trope, but I do want to hear your thoughts as a first-time person being exposed to Ethan Page. How do you think he did? What are your thoughts? And how'd you feel about the segment that ended NXT this episode?
Well, I mean, I think his mic skills are fantastic. I mean, I won't diss that at all. I thought he was very good on the mic. I thought he was very articulate. He was very, I could understand everything. He was very intelligent. I mean, it was, it wasn't just, even though I hate the trope. I hate the arrogant wrestler trope. I really do. But as a performer, I think he's pretty good. I don't know the guy. I've never watched any of his stuff. I didn't do any research on him. But and the reason I didn't do any research is because I want to see him fight before I do that. So once I see him fight, then I can start making more of my personal likes, dislikes. But I mean, the segment was good. I mean, he made valid points. I mean, that was the thing. It was good. It was a good segment. I thought that it was a decent ending. I mean, it was. I mean, I don't think there was anything honestly that they could have done except maybe catch the building on fire to kind of
I mean, that's
save
fair.
this episode. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. So, but I literally am like holding my judgment until I see him like in the ring. Like,
right.
But yeah.
And yeah, but we do have our final match for Battleground set, Trick versus Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. And this segment is what ends NXT this week. So let's go into our final empanada ratings. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet with this one. I give this a 6 out of 10 empanadas. I feel that the matches themselves were nothing too bad, like nothing to really talk about. They weren't necessarily inherently bad. Most of them didn't add anything to Battleground or to the overall product. But what really brought this episode down for me was not only the cringe that was certain promos, but this is a bloated show with backstage and promos too. Like this was kind of nuts. And a lot of them were rarely about, those participating in Battleground, because these promos and the backstage stuff was setting things up for what's to come in the next couple of weeks, which is fine because this is a weekly television show. But I feel that you should have focused more on everything that was going down at Battleground. And a lot of the segments that involved our participants in Battleground range from to not necessarily great. So I give this a 6 out of 10. A very bloated show with okay wrestling. And I'm still excited for Battleground. But if I was a casual person and I wanted to watch this episode in order to see if I was going to watch Battleground, I don't know if I would watch Battleground based on the presentation that we were given tonight.
I gave it a 5. I just put it right in the middle. Well, 5.5. I'll put it at 5.5. Put it right in the middle. Yeah, it was, and it's me. I hate wrestling programs that are like mostly talk. It's like I want to see the talent perform. That's what I want. I'm very performance based. I want to see talent perform. You have good talent, let them perform. I would rather have seen a whole night of just letting wrestlers be wrestlers than what we got. Because again, this episode did not, if I was a first time person coming in, I watched this would not make me want to watch the pay-per-view. Because I'd be like, oh, this is all there is? I mean, okay. There was nothing. And I know that they're trying to save all the pizzazz and bedazzlement for the pay-per-view, but this is the episode before. If you're wanting to lock new people in, you have got to throw it up. You got to throw a party, man. I mean, you've got to make the go home show the piece of candy, the piece of candy. Oh, wait, there's another piece of candy, and that's what you need to do. And it's like, this one was, I mean, we have seen worse go home shows. I will say that, but this one was pretty low. I mean, yeah. So it did not get me excited for the pay-per-view at all.
I know. I mean, I'm still looking forward to covering.
I'm excited for it, but
you didn't sell me on be like, oh my gosh, we got to watch this. Like, even though the build for it was bad, Stand and Deliver made me excited going into the pay-per-view. I was like, oh, we're about to probably see some crazy stuff. And Stand and Deliver, all intents and purposes, delivered. Yeah. It was a fantastic pay-per-view, and it was my favorite pay-per-view of the whole WrestleMania weekend. Of the 4 pay-per-views we covered that weekend, Jiminy Age Christmas, that was hell week for us, but we did it.
Oh my god.
But me and Will got to get up on out of here because we got to record our Battleground predictions videos, which is coming to you very soon later this week. But this is the semi-final show for NXT. The last NXT thing we do before moving on to CMLL is going to be the Battleground review. So that is happening next week. But from myself and Will and the rest of the BC WrestlePod boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay biconic. More importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you for the Battleground review next week. But until then, sayonara. Adios.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.